Oh, hello team. How's it going? It's the morning after the England-Serbia 1-0 win. On paper, if not emotionally, at the Euro 2024 football competition. Yeah, it was our opening game. And today, in this video, we're going to go through the team that played, how each of them performed, and the fucking problems that we have. And I have made a list of all the issues that I'd like to go through. And we're going to start. I've got a lot of bottled up frustration. We're going to start. Sorry. Euros. We're going to go through the team, I think, first of all, to talk around the issues, and then we're going to deep dive into some of the issues. So, I'm going to go through and rate each player. You ready? Jordan Pickford dealt with everything that was thrown at him. Most of the time, dealt with it in the optimal way that he could. There was a little bit of a scrabble with Guehi in the second half. And there was also a moment where he punched a kind of wayward cross that clearly could or should have been caught. So, not perfect, but fine. He's getting an 8 out of 10. Walker. I had a few problems with Walker last night. He seems to not have the penetrative desire that he used to have. But he clearly has the legs, at least from a defensive cover point of view. But he doesn't seem to want to push in the way that he did when he was, at Spurs or early days at Man City. And that's worrying because, if we have Walker on the right who doesn't want to push and then Trippier on the left who hasn't got a left foot, we have no penetration down the wings, and so we're a completely disjointed team. And so I'm worried about that. So I wasn't really happy with Walker's performance. I felt he was, considering how much defensive work we had to do, he's weirdly absent. And he did have a good crossing opportunity in the first half that he kind of didn't really put much thought into, I guess. I mean, he flashed it across the face of goal and you would hope that someone would be at the back post. But then again, Kane was dropping off, and maybe if he'd have taken a moment in that split second just to think, oh, square it back to Kane. I don't know. So I'm not really that happy with Walker, but it wasn't disastrous. So I'm going to go 6, standard. I feel like every player starts the game at 6.5 and they either go up or down from there. John Stones, I can't remember any errors. Seemed less composed than Guehi, which we'll come on to. Can't remember anything necessarily of an issue, so we're going 7. Now, Guehi had a real stormer of a game, and I love it when this happens. We often go into tournaments being like, this is the problem, problems at centre-back, we haven't got Maguire, this and that. And then very often, that weakness will become a strength. So, for example, at the start of Euro 2021, we were worried that we didn't have Maguire. He wasn't fit, but he was in the squad, and he wasn't fit till the third group game. And Mings turned out to have a blinder for the first 2 games, and it wasn't a problem. Guehi was one of our best players yesterday, and I'm going to give him a 10, and that's not because I think it's the best performance any central defender could ever give, but I'm going to give him a 10 because of the circumstances he was in, the scrutiny he was under, and the type of game it turned out to be, where we had a lot of defensive work to do. I think he was brilliant, so he's getting a 10. Trippier, absolutely god-awful. I don't really know how to put this, but without Shaw, we ain't winning the Euros. I know that sounds drastic, but we're going to come on to Foden in a second, who I think really struggled. And I'm going to accuse Foden of quite a lot, but I'd like to pre-caveat that by saying I think a lot of it is down to the fact that we do not have a left-back with a natural left foot who is flying down and overlapping on the left wing. I'll come on to Foden, but yeah, Trippier is not doing it for me. Look, defensively, he was fine. I remember a few clearing headers that he had, and yeah, but attacking-wise, not up to it. 6. Declan Rice had an absolute stormer. I'm going to give him another 10, same as Gehi, because for me, the job that he was put on the pitch to do, he 100% did. 100%. And the problems that we had at the other end, in my opinion, aren't his fault, because that's not the job that he's supposed to do. He mopped up to a degree that we didn't even, that the performance didn't even deserve how well he was playing. And if he wasn't playing that well, we'd be having a very, very different video this morning. I'd be stressed and I might have pulled my hair out and I might not even be here. I might be a ghost. So, I'm giving him a 10. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, in my opinion, look, I'm not going to say, oh, I called it, whatever. When the lineup came out, I was happy that Trent was starting because I was like, yeah, I'm not expecting much of a threat from Serbia. Little did I know. And Trent's passing ability is probably the best we've got in that position. Great. And we know that he's not going to play Bellingham there, so that is what it is. So I was like, fine, happy with Trent. As the game went on, I quickly realised that the lack of control we had in the centre was because we didn't have someone with ball playing ability. And what I mean by that is we didn't have someone with ball retention ability, I should say, because Trent clearly has ball playing ability. But he is not used to receiving the ball in tight central areas. It's different to receiving it at right back. And I don't care how often he's played at centre mid or how often he's tucked in at centre mid at Liverpool. He receives the ball usually at right back, where you can see down the line and you have a safe pass to your central defender there. As a centre mid, you need to... Wharton, in the 10 minutes he came on against whoever it was, showed how to play that role. You need to be 1-2 pass, 1-2 pass, look, touch, pass, look, turn, pass. Trent does not have that composure in the centre midfield, and that is our biggest issue here, linking defence and attack. He does not have the minerals for what that role requires. Now, did he spray a couple of good passes? Yes. Offensively, was he completely awful when we were in control? No. But I don't think he's fulfilling that role. I'm giving him a 5. Saka. Saka was our only dangerous outlet in the first half, it felt like. Bellingham as well, to be fair. But I feel like Saka had the left back on toast in the first half. Now, that left back turned into prime fucking Ashley Cole in the second half. I don't know if that was Saka lacking a bit of fitness or what, but something happened in the second half, and Saka wasn't all he was cracked up to be in the first. However, he did provide the assist, and he was extremely dangerous in that first half. Do you know what? 8. He provided the assist. Bellingham. Bellingham got the goal. Bellingham came on with he came to the game with confidence. He tried to instill press and intensity amongst the others, and some of the others weren't living up to what he was giving at times, and we saw that frustration. He does have a bit of a hot-headedness and did shoulder barge someone when he didn't need to and all this, but he did score the goal. He did provide an outlet, and he is one of the few players who was successfully making penetrating runs into the Serbian half when we were under pressure. So, tough rating. I'm going to give an 8.5 because I feel like a 9 would suggest he bossed the game. I don't think he did. An 8 would suggest he didn't get a goal and provide lots and lots of threat in the first half, which he did. So I'm going to go 8.5. I'm going to go Harry Kane because I'm leaving Phil Foden to the end because we have some fucking words, me and you, Phil. Harry Kane, needs to stick to that back line, which, to be honest, is probably going to be another one of those fashionable things to say today, because everyone's heard Alan Shearer say it yesterday. Harry Kane, you need to pin that back line back, blah, blah, blah. The thing is, it's true and it's clear for anyone to see. Like, Harry, if you're dropping deep, I'm not including the times in the latter stages where he's winning us free kicks and whatever. He's very good at that, and we need that, because I don't think anyone's as good as him at it, to be honest. But I'm talking when we're in control, he needs to stretch the play and provide space for the likes of Foden and Saka cutting in to where Bellingham is and where Trent's going to want to be. There's too many people there, Kane. You can't be coming back into that situation. However, he did have a good header with a worldy save, and he did get some good free kicks in the final minutes. I'm going to say 7. Foden. This is my crying inside face. Phil Foden. Now, Phil, you are a fantastic player. There's an argument to say you were player of the season this year in the Premier League. I think he did win that accolade, actually. Unbelievable, right? Especially in Pep's system. I posted on Reddit months before this tournament about the Phil Foden conundrum. And I was shot down because of how well he was playing in the Premier League at the time. But in my opinion, this is not a new thing that Phil Foden struggles in the England setup. Why is that? Because we have Bellingham in his preferred position, because we have Saka who can play on the touchline but is also slightly an inverted winger. And so we can't really have two. And because we have Kane who wants players to go beyond him, and Foden doesn't want to go beyond, he wants to sit in the hole or tuck in or something like that. So he doesn't really suit Kane either. He also doesn't seem to have ball retention ability, and I'm going to be generous to him here, when other players are not on his level of thinking. I think Bellingham is to an extent, but I don't think Trent is, certainly not. I don't even think Kane is when it comes to ball retention at times. And I think that Foden has a very fast brain. And it's almost like, have you ever played, like, I'm like half decent at squash, right? I'm all right. Like, out of 10, let's say 10 is an Olympian, I'm like a 1, right? But if I've ever played a squash player who's never played before and they're like a 0, it makes you play worse because the patterns of the game are different. And so, like, what you would usually expect to be putting away, you're not putting away because the shot that you're receiving is just like not even a proper shot. So it's like it's kind of you're off balance in a way. I think that Foden looks bad in an England setup because the players around him aren't as good as him with the qualities that he has in ball retention, which sounds weird. But I just don't think they're offering to him like he's offering to them. If you had 11 Phil Fodens on the pitch, I mean, you'd get fucking trounced in other ways. But in terms of like ball retention on paper, always moving, always offering, and I love that. But that's one thing, right? He doesn't work for that reason. That's not his fault. That is his fault. Whatever. Secondly, down the wing, he does not have penetration. I keep saying it. There's no point trying to lug all our best players on the pitch if they don't work in the system. We saw with the goal that Kane and Bellingham need players beyond them. Crosses, really. And players run into the byline, right? And Foden does not do that. Put Gordon or Eze on, and our entire system changes. Now, thirdly, strike all that off. He simply played badly yesterday. Strike it all off. There were multiple misplaced passes that cannot be excused by the previous 2 points. He simply played badly. And he was completely off form, right? So I'm going to give Foden a 4. I think he was our absolute worst player on the pitch, right? And if you think about let's go back to the thing. If you think about how we really set up, we had Stones sitting, Guéhi was advanced a little bit, Rice was properly sitting, Trent was trying to be about here, Bellingham wasn't penetrating as much as we'd like, Saka was pushed up high but ineffectual in the second half, Foden was tucking in here, running into Bellingham, and Kane was fucking about here. Kane was about here. He cleared a fucking shot off the line at one point, but I mean, that was a defensive work from a corner, fair enough. But jokes aside, Kane was like dropping deep. He was like here. That's not what we want. I'd like to just say, by the way, I'm going to go on to the second half, right? I have video evidence. I filmed myself in the first and second half of this game. I had a little lighting rig set up, and I filmed myself, right? I have video evidence of me at 53 minutes saying, right, this second half has started like the first half ended, and we need to make subs now to get back control of the game. Now, if I'm Gareth Southgate, I'm saying at half time, well done for the first half an hour, but we've lost control of this game. And if that continues, I'm taking one of you off, like as a semi-threat, right? He obviously didn't say that because he doesn't make a fucking sub until something like 68 minutes. Something ridiculous, right? I have video evidence of me at 53 minutes. The video will be going up soon on this channel, so you can go find it. Saying, we need to get back control of this game, we need to make a sub because the pattern is the same as the end of the first half. We do not make that sub for another 15 minutes. The patterns don't change. We bring on Conor Gallagher. I was saying Mainu for ball retention, but he brings on Conor Gallagher for pressing. Why would you need to bring on Gallagher instead of Mainu? Well, because you know the game's got away from you and you want to press and get the ball back, right? I was saying Mainu at 53 minutes because I was like, well, there's still a chance we can get back control of this game and keep the ball. Conor Gallagher and Bowen, who we brought on later, they're subs to simply press the opposing team with the ball. That's almost an admission that the game has got away from us. That's terrifying because that means that not only did we make a sub 15 minutes too late, but we made a sub based on the problems that came about during those 15 minutes when you could have made another proactive sub at 55 minutes. Now, I wouldn't be so mad about it if it wasn't for the fact that we know because it's happened that we will lose the big games because of Southgate's hesitancy with subs. Euro 2021 final, we lost control in exactly the same way towards the end of the first half. I was in Wembley. I said to Kane, this is feeling dodgy. Kane's my mate, sorry. The second half, exactly the same pattern of play, and we don't make subs till late on. So Euro final. Now, we make subs for penalties by the end. We have subs left to make for penalties. We don't make any attempt to get back control of that game, or at least not, maybe we didn't have the players at the time. But then we get to Qatar in the World Cup quarterfinal, same again. We make subs. I think Mount comes on at something ridiculous like 78 minutes, wins a pen, which Kane then misses. But that's by the by. The subs are too late. There's too much hesitancy with subs, and I love Southgate as a man. I love him for what he's done for the England culture, and I love the memories that he's brought. But in my opinion, those memories would be better if he didn't have this inhibition with subs, or is it hibition? Problem. If he didn't have this problem with subs, because we probably would have won that Euro 2021 final, and we might have even beat France in the quarterfinal. Genuinely, I think that it's that big of an issue. I honestly think if Southgate didn't have this issue, we may well have a trophy under our belt and or another World Cup semi-final. That, honestly, right, it's that bad. So anyway, he brings on... Fuck, I'm angry about it. He brings on Gallagher at whatever minute it was, right? And Gallagher plays really well. To the point where, if Southgate is tentative to start Mainu because he's young, I would absolutely start Gallagher in the next game. This isn't a knee-jerk reaction. This isn't like, oh, fucking hell. Like, you know, people just see a player for like 10 minutes and they're like, fucking hell, start him. Start him! This isn't that. He came on and he absolutely changed the makeup of the entire team. Now, did we get back control of the game? No. He's not as good at that as Mainu would be, or even Wharton. But did we press with more intensity? Yes, absolutely. And if that's the way we're going to play, then we fucking need Gallagher. When Gallagher came on, I'd honestly give him an 8. I thought you can't give anyone more than an 8, really, for the amount of time he had. But I thought he played absolutely brilliant. Now, then we changed Bellingham for Mainu. Do you know what? I'm not going to bother because I don't think Mainu even had enough time to make too much of an impact. I don't know if you remember touches that he had. So let's just say Mainu has a standard 6.5, whatever. And then he changed Saka for Bowen, and I thought Bowen equally played really well. His first touch was a cross to Kane for a chance, and I think I don't think there were many other clear-cut chances, but he definitely pressed down that right side a lot better, and I think he was brilliant. Now, I've just got on my notes here more about subs. The fact that Foden stayed on the pitch for the entire game is insane. My girlfriend doesn't like football. I'm not saying this is like a girls don't like football thing. I'm just saying specifically my girlfriend doesn't like football, right? And even she knew the changes we need to make before Gareth Southgate did. She could see with her own eyes, as someone who hates football and doesn't watch it, that Foden needed to come off. He wasn't even providing a press. I don't understand the thinking behind keeping him on. I do not understand that. Crikey. Right, let me look at my notes. Right, okay. Now, final points. Expectations were middling, especially after the Iceland game. I sent a message to my mate saying I'm expecting my words were a stodgy 1-0 or 2-1 win, similar to the Italy game the previous night. Now, I was right. Why was I right? Because I expected these things to happen, especially off the back of the Iceland game. The Phil Foden conundrum, the Trent conundrum. Now, that's not to say when the lineup came out that I was saying, oh, fuck Southgate, all this, like, coming off negative from the start. I wasn't. Southgate knows better than me. He sees these players every single day. He sees all the data. He's got a team of backroom staff who know more than me. So whenever I see a lineup, unless it's absolutely insanely ridiculous, like we're starting Tony up front, I'm like, fair enough. You know more than me, right? But turns out my prediction was correct. And turns out we do need to make these changes. In the next game, England versus Denmark, we cannot carry Foden and we cannot carry Trent. This has to be Gordon on the left. It has to be Gordon on the left. This will remain Saka on the right. And so it should. This will remain Bellingham. This will remain Rice. This has to be Gallagher in the middle against Denmark, a far better side who, if we beat, we're through. If we draw, we're essentially through. Walker will leave him be. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the most controversial of the lot. In my opinion, if Shaw isn't fit for the second game, I would be starting Gomez here. Now, word is that Shaw will probably be fit for the second game. I'm sorry, you can't see the fucking screen. I'm sorry, I'm getting so mad that you can't. What I've done is I've put Gordon here, I've put Gallagher here, and Gomez here. That's all I've done. Now, looks like Shaw will be fit for the second game, and that'll be fucking brilliant. Let's hope he don't break a leg again. But if he isn't, I would honestly start Gomez there, because Gomez seems to be able to play almost like he's a natural left-back when he's put there, even though he's not. What do I expect from this Denmark game? Now, I wasn't really impressed by Denmark against Slovenia, and I felt like Slovenia were actually quite impressive. So I think that we will probably beat them. but I think it'll be a more open game, and I think we're going to have Gallagher on, otherwise we're going to get swamped. Now, I'd like to just take a moment just to calm down and say, how much does the first game performance really matter? Speaking objectively, clearly not that much. Spain won the World Cup by losing their first game. Argentina won the World Cup by losing their first game. We got to the final of the Euros by only winning 1-0 against Croatia. Yes, they're a better team, but it was a similarly stodgy performance. These things happen. Like, you can progress as a team, click, gel, improve over the course of a tournament. That has been objectively proven multiple times. I'm not saying it's the way you should do it, and I'm not saying it's the way that happens every time, because it's clearly not. You know, we've seen teams steamroll a tournament from start to finish. But we've also seen a Portugal win, what was it, only one game, not on penalties, between the first game and the final, or something like that. And then they won the Euros in 2016. I think they drew in their group stage, and then won on penalties, something like that. Anyway, point is that you could argue it is all about the win. And yeah, I'm happy to get the win. Don't get me wrong, I'm happy to get the win. But for fucking crying out loud, we can make it easy for ourselves. And we can make it easy for ourselves in really, really easy to fix ways. 1, stop getting drawn into playing Phil Foden off the left in this system because it doesn't work. 2, make subs proactively and positively. Make sure that you are making subs to stop the changes in the game and to mitigate the future risks in the game. Don't make the subs once the game has changed and once the risk has fully come to fruition. Because that's what Southgate's doing, and it's frustrating. Fuck. I've been talking for a while. Fucking hell. Well, honestly, really great to get the win, great to get the 3 points. And, positively as well, Denmark drew. Better chances, right? Better chances for us to get through. We could potentially have a dodgy performance against Denmark, and that wouldn't be too much of a problem, because we often go into this second game needing a win against the second most likely team and all this, but we could get a draw against Denmark, and that's fine. And then get a win against Slovenia or a draw against Slovenia, who knows? It looks like group stage progression is pretty much assured with that draw by Denmark and Slovenia. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. So I'm happy with the win. Performance aside. Now let's move on. But we must make these changes before the next game. Fuck me. Right, just to reiterate, I am going to be posting my my live reactions to the second half, and you will see me mention we need to make these subs, bum, 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 from about the 53rd minute up until we actually make the sub. Insane. Anyway, thanks for coming to my Euros content.